Welcome to Switching Reels.
Welcome to Switching Reels, Connor. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Good Wednesday.
it has.
Whew, that took me a sec.
Yeah. So we just watched Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Across the Spider-Verse because it shot up.
Yeah, so it was at 11. It's down to 12
now. Yeah.
But when things are hanging this high, there's a good chance that it will still probably hang out in the top 250 list for quite a while. It's just a question of whether it will be this high on the list.
Exactly.
That said, just some spoilers about my opinion of this. It made me feel several emotions.
Just very many emotions. And it doesn't start slow on that.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
You don't get a wind up.
Yeah, no. So does it deserve its place on the list?
Right now, I actually kind of think it does. I do think that this individual movie is better than most of the Lord of the Rings. And
oh, wow.
I know, and that's high praise.
Yeah.
like those are
That's
gorgeous.
High praise from anybody. From you, it's really high praise.
Like it was.
This is like I am willing to throw out my childhood in lieu of this movie.
Yes, not throw out. It should be like I've grown. This is a growth experience for me. I'm trying to go and. Never mind. I can't make that joke yet because I haven't gotten past the spoiler wall.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm going to say that it absolutely deserves its place on the list.
Yeah.
I don't know if it deserves to be quite this high. It's close though.
Yeah.
Like this is absolutely top 20 material.
Mm-hmm.
Top 11, top 12, maybe not, but
for sure top 20. I would agree with you.
Yeah. We haven't said who we recommend this to. I would say
everyone again.
Yeah, yeah.
There's more.
I would say the one caveat: you should watch Into the Spider-Verse before you watch Across the Spider-Verse.
You absolutely should watch Into the Spider-Verse first. And we'll go more into this. They feel different.
Yeah, they do.
You should only watch the first one because it sets up so much in the second one.
Yeah.
It's necessary because you see so many other characters again.
Well, especially. Again, not spoiling anything, but especially at the very, very end.
Yeah.
The last scene is
needed. It's such a yes. So stick around. For
it would seem really out of place if not for the for the first movie.
So much foreshadowing.
Because
Yep.
Just characters that do not show up at all in the second movie that are in the first movie show up at the end of the second movie.
Yeah.
And it would be very jarring to someone who hadn't seen the first.
Exactly. Why are you here?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but no, same thing. This one, it is
maybe
more emotionally intense.
And I would maybe recommend it higher than the first.
Absolutely. I would absolutely recommend it higher than the first. The first one is a gorgeous movie. But this
and I can say this on this side of the spoiler wall. I think that this movie, if it suffers from anything, suffers from having too much complexity in comparison to the first. The first one was relatively simple in its story, which I thought played to its advantage because it's doing a lot of crazy things that are outside the box. This one is doing those things, but it also decides to do that with the story.
Adds a plot.
Yeah. So, I would say that's maybe the one thing that would make me hesitate to recommend it higher than Into the Spider-Verse. But this is
everything else is
phenomenal.
Yeah. And so as it comes to actual recommendations, it is more emotionally intense than the first one as part of the consequence of having a much deeper plot. And the what was I going for here? Oh, there's almost mild not necessarily profanity.
I did notice that.
Yeah, just mild though. It isn't.
And I think the thing that made me notice that more than anything is in the first one they had this as well, but they had the big almost statement comic code approved stamp at the beginning of it, and I'm like, can you get away with this in within the comic book code, because that's super strict.
Yeah, I bet.
That was So sorry, this is just going to be a little tangent.
Do it, please. I
Okay.
love it when you do this.
Nothing to do with film history, actually.
No,
this is comic,
history.
yeah. So there was the Bronze Age,
Okay.
right? Wild West for comics. Anything and everything went. This is where all of the superheroes essentially were created.
Yeah.
And it's where you got like, oh, superheroes just casually murdering bad guys because the bad guys are bad.
Exactly.
So you can kill them.
So you can just kill them.
Silver Age came along later, and this was when the comic book code was instated. And that's where you get all of like the really like hokey, like all of these super criminal villains are just reduced to basically pranksters.
Yes, exactly.
And no one's ever hitting anyone with a closed fist. Like I remember that being one of the comic code regulations is you couldn't hit anybody with a closed fist. Wow. And I'm like,
that's strict.
Oh, actually, sorry, I mixed up Bronze and Golden Age. Golden Age is the original.
Oh,
gotcha. So Golden Age went to Silver Age. Bronze Age was when they basically said, you know what? We're just going to make comic books without the comic book code because that was basically like our stamp of approval,
exactly.
Right? The argument was parents aren't going to let their kids read these comic books if they don't have this stamp. And so the Bronze Age was people going, yeah, whatever. And that's when Alan Moore and Frank Miller and all like the big like gritty like comic book writers stepped onto the scene. So that's where you got, I mean, Alan Moore was V for Vendetta, Watchmen, like all of the like
more.
Like we're going to give you very mature content and we're also going to match that with like relatively dense philosophical themes.
Exactly.
Frank Miller was a little bit more simple but just as gritty, you know, and so that was kind of like the whole rebellion against it. So anyway, comic book code reigned supreme in the Silver Age, and it is wild to me that these movies can be as impactful and ride the line as close as they do
and be comic
and still be comic code approved.
Yeah,
it's just kind of wild to me.
Completely agree. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's it for recommendations and also where it deserves its place on the list.
Yeah,
let's do some ratings.
It's too soon for me.
Yeah. This is the second time I've seen it.
So
this
yeah,
is your first time.
It is the second time you've seen it, and it's the first time I've seen it. And I'm still going through a lot of emotions right now.
Yeah. Which we'll talk very much more about here in a moment.
Yeah.
This is one of the best times actually to get a rating, and we'll watch it again later, and you can go and update it, and it'll be fantastic.
I'm gonna say this one is an easy 10 on technical for me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't think there's anything that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm fluctuating from a 7 to a 10 on enjoyment.
Yeah.
Let's call it 9. Yeah. I feel like that's a safe place for it.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I think I would completely agree that this is. It's like I don't want to give it a 10 in technical because I don't know what that means, but I think I agree. You know, like
yeah.
There isn't anything I can point out that isn't technically astounding in this movie.
Yeah. It's a little easier to pick it out on something like animation because unless there's anything that sticks out as wrong,
bad animation, yeah,
you know, you can't necessarily be wrong for giving a high score to it.
Yeah,
but
I completely agree. So I would agree. I think I'm actually basically the same. 10 technical, either 8.5 or 9 for enjoyment, and it is just so good.
Yeah. So anyway,
if you like us,
then
show us.
Yeah.
By liking, subscribing, commenting, doing all of the cool things. If you like a specific episode, please go share it around. We'd love that.
If you like us, please be guilted into liking us. And if you don't, what are you doing here?
Why are you here?
Go watch a different podcast.
Only absorb things that give you joy. If we don't give you joy, turn us off. Anyway.
Yeah. So,
This is a
okay,
spoiler wall. Sorry, I also
Yeah.
should say that. Spoilers past this point.
I'm going to not even touch summary on this one.
Oh, you're not?
Nope.
Okay, so I
Good.
will.
Yeah, go for it.
Lovely. All right. Miles Morales is a troubled teen. He gets grounded at the beginning of this movie and is grounded for the entirety of this movie, kind of. Anyway, his friend...
Mom ungrounds him.
Yeah, his mom kind of ungrounds him. I look like I'm joking. I'm not. His friend from a different universe comes to say hi, and then also this universe is just rife with bad dimensional practices. They write the book and what not to do for dimensional security. And so he also is like, yeah, I agree. I want to be the cyber person for dimensional security. And then goes to the cyber conference of Spider-Man. And no one likes him. And so he escapes.
Oh, is that the whole summary?
Yeah.
What about the part at the end where he's Prowler?
He's not Prowler.
He is, though.
I kind of him as Prowler. He's kind of Prowler.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, he escapes into the wrong house. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, this is... If you're past the spoiler wall, you already mostly know what's going on. If not, go watch the movie, because there's no way that we can summarize this perfectly.
So I've said this to a couple people that... and I'm not sure why this is, but like I high-key got Godfather vibes from this. And I don't know why. I think it's something about the story structure or like how they handle storytelling from perspectives or something, but it just it feels like they were going for something very grandiose and they did a great job with it. And I can't peg why. I don't know why.
I mean, I would agree that it feels very grandiose, but I don't necessarily agree that it feels like The Godfather. And I wonder maybe if that's just no shade here. If that's just if that's just the fact that I have seen a lot more grandiose films. But I don't know. This didn't give me like Godfather feels. I will say it feels significantly darker than the first one.
It's much darker than the first one.
And oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do. Okay, so I know I said this to you, like this was my reaction as soon as the movie ended. And for those of you who have seen the end, you know what I'm talking about, but there is a huge plot twist / cliffhanger at the very end of this film. And I just don't know that I can wait a year. Like, a year is really fast turnaround for a sequel, but also, like, I can't deal with that.
Yes. It almost feels like they're like, I want to make a 4-hour movie. That hasn't been done in a long time to, like, good results.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and release this 2.5-hour movie.
Unless it's by Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan doesn't do 4-hour movies, but he does.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Oh, is that the Avatar? Does he do Avatar?
No.
Because Avatar was also like 3 hours or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few directors that'll still do basically 3-hour movies. Hateful Eight by Quentin Tarantino was 3 hours. I want to say...
I feel like Avengers Endgame was...
I think that was like 3.5, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, there are still those movies that are being done. It's just...
rare.
Yeah. And, you know, you got movies like Dune, which, honestly, I would have sat through a 6-hour Dune.
I would have absolutely sat through a 6-hour Dune.
But I know that a lot of people would not, so I understand why they broke it into 2 films.
Plebeians.
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah, no, totally.
But yeah, I do feel like this one was definitely like, hey, like, and even with the year turnaround, like, I looked this up before we actually did the podcast. They're in post-production right now.
Yeah.
Like, so it's
a year of post-production, which makes sense. It's an animated movie.
Yeah, absolutely. But that tells me that they were not planning this as a single installment.
No.
Like, even a little bit. It wasn't like, oh yeah, we're halfway through production on this and we want to
really
start in on another one. This is, okay, we have this film and this is our next one. From the pre-planning stage.
Exactly.
Pre-production, yeah. So, It makes me very happy but very angry. I'm
Exactly.
very happy that we're getting more
High quality
high quality
animation. Like, oh,
high quality animation. Like, I think there's still been some really great animation out there. It just hasn't been in movies very often recently.
completely agree.
You know, everybody's tending toward the same sort of style, or they're trying to. It's the what's the old quote about every painting in Japan either has Mount Fuji in it, or there's three kinds of paintings. One is the kind with Mount Fuji in it. One is the one that's on top of Mount Fuji, or one is one that's intentionally not showing it for a purpose. I don't remember who said that, but it was like, so it just feels to me like that's what animation has become. Like it's Pixar like.
Mm-hmm. Or it's explicitly not Pixar like.
Or yeah. And if it's explicitly not Pixar like, it's trying to do something. Trying to separate itself. Yeah. And sometimes it works. And I would say that this is something that I can't say for sure what the motivation was behind it, but the Pixar style of animation would not fit this.
No.
Despite the fact that there's more types of animation in this than I care to count.
Yes.
But despite that, I feel like this just feels like something fresh and exciting. And even Into the Spider-Verse felt like this.
Absolutely.
But again, that came out 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I've had some time to just kind of cool on it.
Okay, cool.
This I have not.
No.
Like, this is
hot off the press.
Yeah. And honestly, some of the stuff I watched here, I went, this feels like an avant-garde film. Like, not as nonsensical as one, but like some of the stylistic choices, I'm like, you're pulling from some experimental shit. So yeah, I was
really pleasantly surprised. We actually haven't touched on any content or anything yet.
Either. I know,
like, this is just our initial reactions to like just the vibe of the movie.
It's so good.
It's really, really, really good. If we haven't mentioned that yet, please go watch it. Like it's a very, very good movie.
Yeah.
And they did so many really, really cool things with it. So I'm gonna go into the spider motif was like really, really, really well done in this.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah. Anyway, the spider, like, just generally, obviously it's a Spider-Man movie, but they did a really, really good job with like just emphasizing the kind of universe that it's around and like calling back to the fact that this entire universe exists because of that original Collider incident. Like,
oh yeah,
which is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's super, super cool. And so like they did that first Collider incident and you get a spider out of it, and also like just a bunch of other stuff came out of it, you know, like, oh, it's just and everything is revolving around Spider-Man. If it had been something else that went into that Collider incident, this would have been a Green Goblin verse or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they tied together the story between this one and the last one really well. Like they didn't do anything to like diminish the plot and the experience of that first one. I feel like they did a really good job of building on top and expanding it.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. Also, just as a side note, I can't add a whole lot to that, but yes, I agree. Spider-Punk, completely pointless addition to this movie, and I love him.
He's so good. It's a manifestation of capitalism. Oh, he's so good.
And just the fact that they made him so Brit punk, as well, like down to his mask having like the Sid Vicious mohawk spikes. and like everything that he is surrounded by all the time is like the Sex Pistols cut and paste art kind of stuff.
Love it.
It's just yeah, it was very 60s Britpunk, and I thought that was wonderful.
We needed him, I think, primarily for...
Sorry, 80s.
Oh.
70s, 80s.
I wouldn't know. Neither of us were alive there.
But, well, yeah, that's...
And one of us is slightly obsessed.
I'm not obsessed with Britpunk.
No, but with history and understanding art. And you do a very good job of it.
I track art. You were saying something that wasn't insulting.
No, it was. What was I saying? Ooh.
We were talking about Spider-Punk being...
Oh, necessary because you need the ability to separate yourself from the other portal creation devices. And also, like,
thematically, he actually might have some... Sorry, you were...
No, that's actually a really, really good point, actually. I hadn't thought about that.
So the idea of being okay with yourself, regardless of what anybody else thinks, is kind of central to this movie.
Very much.
I would say it's not explicitly stated that way.
No, it's
more be okay belonging where you belong. And don't let people exclude you from belonging. And that's, I'm like, yeah, that's
down with that message. That's like
at no point does Spider-Punk say anything approximating that, though.
No.
But his presence there, I think, being as heavy as it is, kind of reinforces to anyone who is familiar with the punk movement sort of the self-affirmation and, for lack of a better phrase, anti-establishment aesthetic of it. And I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, but
good.
There does seem to be some connection there.
So there's a really, really large, like, central theme in both of these movies of, like, the individual story and, like, you being the only one that can actually define it regardless of whatever pressure is being put on you from other, like, situations. Like in the first movie, we start also with a teacher that's like, hey, here's a essay that you need to write on Great Expectations. And at the beginning of this movie, you have the counselor that's like, hey, I need to get your story as well. This entire story, or at least a lot of it, it doesn't revolve around, well, almost all of it does revolve around Miles, because Miles is the one that is defining how he's going to act through the entire thing, regardless of what other people are saying he should do. Not because, like, he's necessarily a better Spider-Man, but because he is a very secure person, or at least wants to be, and that's what he's going for. He knows what values he has, and he goes and defends them.
Yeah.
And he does that in both movies. Like, there's the, like, Spider-Man always does both. It's one of the, my favorite lines in this one.
Yeah.
Like, even when it's not necessarily true for other Spider-Men.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't that they found a way to do both, but in this, and going back to Spider-Punk, the, like, very, very extreme version of go and define yourself and have your independence in your own story is Spider-Punk.
Yeah.
And having him there to go and question the establishment of this spider organization is really, really, really beneficial.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said, with more words.
Yeah. Well, I would say probably a little bit more clearly communicated than I did. I'm still processing this movie while I'm trying to come up with words to explain what I'm feeling.
A month. So...
Yeah, that's fair.
I watched this at the beginning of June when it came out.
I mean, I'm already feeling like, okay, I need to go watch this again and dive a little bit deeper into it.
Exactly. Because it's so good.
Yeah,
They're talking about canon. Like, oh, that's one of the things that technically that they just did excellently in here.
Oh, yeah.
They did not exposition dump. Except for that one scene where he's showing really cool graphics.
Yeah.
That's the one primary exposition dump, but you get so much of the lore and why this is happening and why they're all after Miles from the combat scene dialogue,
Yeah.
you know, or like just offhandedly. They mentioned canon events like 5 or 6 times before the actual canon event in the Indian world.
Oh yeah.
Happens, and you don't notice it the first time because you're like, I
Yeah.
don't know what they're talking about. Like, that's all.
Well,
Whatever.
but I would say if you are somewhat familiar, you can kind of like piece together what you think it means
Exactly.
to an approximation. And so when
Yes.
that comes along, you're like, okay, yeah, I think I know what this is.
Exactly. Like, they do such a good job with breadcrumbing it up to that point. Like, they
Yeah.
do a really, really good job of like giving the viewer enough information to go and make the jumps ahead of time if
Mhm.
necessary, but also not being heavy-handed about the explanations whenever they do come
Oh, yeah.
out. Like,
Although I will say, I did kind of miss the exposition dumps from the first movie,
yeah.
where it was just constantly like voicing over with these different characters. And, like,
Yeah.
that was such a great,
It was really good.
I'd say, stylistic choice.
Completely.
But with this one, you don't get that as much. You still get like the comic books like slapping down on the table, and that's still cool. But every time I saw one, I'm like, oh yeah, we get it. Oh no, we don't.
No, we don't. I did like that. That is a really good point. Because you got 1 or 2.
I wonder if it would have ruined the tone of the movie a little bit, though.
Yeah, it's like
Especially
the one
toward the end.
you had was from the Indian Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Punk,
Yeah.
and you didn't get one for Jess, who's the bike lady.
Oh yeah.
But you got one for the Indian one, and that was fantastic.
That one was great.
Say TT.
I love chai tea.
bread. Yes. Oh, that was such a good scene.
Oh, by the way, we haven't even touched on the Spot,
No.
which starts out
Which is so
like his evolution through this movie is wonderful.
It's so cool.
They start him out as like, have you seen Invincible?
No.
Okay. Have you seen One Punch Man?
Yes.
Okay. He starts out like Bike Man from One Punch Man, but the villain equivalent of that.
Yes.
Right? He's just there to be
Slightly comic
basically
relief and also
basically he's there to have his ass handed to him, and then we forget about him.
Exactly.
He starts off as that, and he slowly evolves into like almost the I've seen this happen with like nanobots in stories a lot.
Yes.
Where it's like they start out very manageable, and then they just they're just outside of controllable for like 3/4. And then at the end, he's basically like a cosmic horror
Exactly.
sort of entity.
Yes.
And I love that they did that.
Me too. And I love that they like
And it didn't feel forced either.
No. It feels like and I can't totally describe it. It's obvious that the Spot isn't the like necessarily like main antagonist the movie's going after.
Yeah.
But he is such a good plot device,
Oh,
and
yeah.
not a like heavy-handed one, or like it doesn't like he is so good at moving the plot forward. Like there are certain
Yeah.
big bads that you're like, oh, okay, I can see how he's gonna die, or like the motivation for him is a little off. This one has a solid enough motivation to drive the story forward,
Mhm.
and also is like really his power ramping is astounding.
Yeah.
Like, and all of the combat scenes with him and seeing him just like from the choreography standpoint grow in his power
Oh yeah.
is so cool.
Oh, sorry, we're still in standout scenes, so I'm
I
going
have
to
no idea what we're doing here.
Yeah, I don't either, but I love the conversation anyway. I feel like what we're really doing here is just gushing over this movie.
Because it's really good.
Yeah.
We'll go and maybe touch on 1 or 2 bad points soon. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
What bad points?
Exactly.
Yeah. But the scene with Spider-Girl or Spider-Woman, is she?
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen.
I like going Spider-Gwen.
Yeah, that's fine. With her and her dad when she comes back. So what I noticed in the first time that we were in her world is like everything's sort of the watercolor, like animation through the whole thing, and that's really cool. In the scene where she's basically having a breakdown with her dad, sorry, a meltdown,
Yes.
all of the colors start running on the walls, and
Oh,
it's wonderful.
it's so good.
And I'm not sure how I feel necessarily about the backgrounds completely disappearing and just having their faces as they talk to each other. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have done it.
It's just a stylistic thing,
Yeah.
you know? They throw so many of those in here.
Right, yeah.
Like,
it's hard to really criticize anything without, I would say, at least one more watch. I might need 2 or 3.
yeah, exactly. It
But
feels like a lot of Gwen's like arc and trouble is with her own identity and like how she fits into the larger situation. And so I like the faces for that because it just like focuses on what her conflict is.
yeah, it almost makes me wonder. So the first one is very focused on Miles.
Very.
This one feels like,
Opens with Gwen.
yeah, it opens with Gwen, and it feels very Gwen's point of view through the whole thing.
Yeah,
Even if the story is sort of about Miles, it feels like it's from Gwen's point of view. I'm wondering if the next one's going to be from Peter B. Parker's.
Oh, interesting.
Sort of watching, I think the 3 movies, theoretically, assuming they're not going past 3 movies, are Miles' story from Miles' point of view, Miles' story from Gwen's point of view, and then Miles' story from Peter's point of view.
That would be so interesting.
I really hope that's what's going on because
Yeah.
that would just be such a cool thing to watch.
Stylistically so awesome.
That said, if they don't do that for the next one, I'm not going to be sad.
No.
It's still going to be a great movie.
I am like
Unless they take a serious nosedive in quality between this one and the next one.
That was my one concern. Like they have some really, really good plot points, but all of them feel like they're at near the climax except for Miles' story.
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. Spider-Man 2099 is still a serious threat. The Spot is still a serious threat.
That's a good point. The Spot and
his situation with the Prowler version of himself, serious issue. Like, not to mention the fact that his dad is still back in the other dimension.
And will die in 2 days.
And is supposed to die in 2 days, yeah. So, like, I don't know. I feel like they have
That's a good
more
point.
than enough conflict.
That's a good point. Cool.
My bigger concern with this one is that I think what has been great about the first 2 movies is that there is a ramp, right? Even with Gwen's story starting in a place that will emotionally wreck you within 10 minutes.
Yep. Good luck.
We still get like Miles sort of easing from, hey, I'm living school life, to, okay, I am 100% in this like crazy upside down world that I was not expecting to be in
all the spider people.
12 hours ago.
Yes.
You know, he still has his day-to-day, I'm Spider-Man sort of life before this happens.
Yes.
And I don't know that they can do that with the third movie.
Exactly.
They have left it in a place where I think
they have to pick it up from that point of very high emotional tension.
That would be my one concern, is I don't know how the next movie will do on pacing.
Yeah. I'm excited for that.
I am too.
Yeah.
Also, all of the little Easter eggs were wonderful.
So good.
The Spider-Man from Insomniac Games walking through the holding area.
Yep.
Predator played by Donald Glover, which it feels so funny to me that, like, I don't know how much you know about his background, but like he had a stand-up comedy special in like 2013 or something where he's like, if anybody wants to make a Black Spider-Man movie, I'll be Spider-Man. Like, I'm totally cool with that. You should make me Spider-Man. Not to mention the fact that there was like this whole campaign for it. He has now been in 2 Spider-Man movies that I've seen, and I have not seen all of them. both times he has been not Spider-Man. He has a cameo in Spider-Man Homecoming where he's gets his hand stuck to the car and can't get out because he's like a petty thief. So he doesn't get turned over to the cops or anything. But Spider-Man's like, well, you're a criminal, so I'm not really going to let you go. Just, just hang out. And he's going, well, I got ice cream in the car. Anyway, that was his first cameo. And now there's this one where he's just Prowler and he's sitting in this tank. And I just love it. Yeah. I love that every time that he's in a Spider-Man movie, he's not Spider-Man.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. I love that as well. Oh, I had so many thoughts.
Oh, not to mention the fact that his roommate.
Yeah, was playing a Spider-Man movie.
He was playing. Yeah, he was playing the Insomniac Spider-Man game.
Yes.
Which, I love that.
Yeah, and so many of the verbal cameos were in here as well. Like the spot at some point that says like the power of the multiverse in the palm of my hand, which is a callback from actually the second Spider-Man, like original remake of the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire.
Were those remakes?
Oh no, they're originals.
Oh, okay.
Revamp. Anyway,
yeah.
Original.
Yeah, but
I don't want to say original Spider-Man movie. That's weird. It probably is though.
Yeah, it's the original Spider-Man trilogy.
Wow. Okay, so from the original Spider-Man trilogy in the second movie, is the line that Doc Ock has.
Yeah,
exactly. And which is why they. Oh, have you seen No Way Home? Or No Way Home.
I have not.
Okay.
I saw the first two Tobey Maguire ones. I unfortunately saw both of the Andrew Garfield ones. The first one I watched because I was like, it's a new Spider-Man movie, and I was unimpressed. The second one I watched because I was on an airplane.
Oh, nice.
And then I saw Homecoming, and then I did not watch any of the later ones, but I've heard that No Way Home is incredible.
Yeah. Anyway.
But I'd have to watch Far From Home first. Yeah. So.
No, like Far From Home. It was all right.
Yeah. That was sort of toward the part of my life when I was like, you know what? Avengers Endgame came out. I can be done with Marvel movies.
Exactly. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was a line from the second one. And there's a hello, Peter, when he's running past one of the simulations, which is also one of the lines from the original ones. And there's a bunch of, which makes sense because Sony owns the rights to all of the original movies.
Yeah.
And so they can show whatever clips they want.
Sometimes it feels like flexing a little bit.
It does. Like Disney. Fool. So, yeah, I loved all the little cameos as well. They were fantastic. I loved the random Spider-Man that they added, like the Spider Cat and the Spider Dinosaur and the Spider Cowboy.
I'll be honest, I really want to see Spider Cowboy now. Like, I want to read some Spider Cowboy comics where he's just blowing people away with webs.
So good. I would love that. Just generally so cool.
Yeah. This is a great movie, and I don't feel like I know what else to talk about with it because, again, watching this one was like drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah, it was.
It's incredible, but yeah, I feel very behind.
Gets you. There's a lot of family themes in this one, like just so many. It starts with family, and then Miles has a family, and then Peter B. Parker starts a family, and the Spider Consortium is very much not a family. And there are so many moments of family in this, which is just astounding.
Yeah. I will say the bigger blow to me when I was watching the ending was realizing that his dad wasn't there.
Yeah.
That was like my first indication, like seeing the pictures of just him and his mom. I was like, she doesn't know who Spider-Man is, and Dad is missing. Where is he?
They did such a good job framing those shots up to that point with outside the window. Wow. Yeah, they just did such a good job with all of the framing in these.
There are some incredible twists in this, and I am very excited to watch it again, knowing that they're coming.
Yes.
I don't like spoilers because I don't like things to like I don't like missing out on the
On
emotions
the
I'm
emotion,
feeling.
exactly.
But watching after you know it's there is another great
A different
experience.
Exactly.
But this one I can only get once.
Yeah.
So
it makes me happy that I can see it.
Yeah.
You've been seeing these with me for the last year.
That's true. And I have to say, I also really enjoy watching other people go through those experiences
Which
because
only makes sense. It's really enjoyable.
I don't get to do that anymore, right?
Time.
I've already seen it. But I do still love a lot of these movies, and I love seeing people react to things that they did not expect.
If you have reactions of your own that you'd like to send us, we'd love to see them.
Yeah. Emojis only. Anyone who knows me knows I don't use emojis at all.
I was like, I want videos, but that's okay, I guess, Connor. Very nice.
All right. Well, next week's film, we're back until Oppenheimer comes out.
Yes.
I know that there's a chance that it's not going to reach this high.
We can also just do a bonus.
I really hope it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I'm going to watch Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
It's Christopher Nolan. I've heard that people walked out of the theater because it was so disturbing, like from an intellectual standpoint, and I'm like,
that's my jam.
I love that. Look forward to that, guys.
How do we end this?